Today we are going to study very important aspect of information in the syllabus of Master of Library and Information Science, and that facet is called information economics. So information economics forms a very important part or module of information system in Master of Library Science course. Information economics is related obviously to economics, and economy is a system which provides people with goods and services which directly or indirectly satisfy their wants. Economics is defined as the science which treats of wealth by Adam Smith. So, this is the concept of economics, that it provides people with helpful goods and services. And to learn about information economics, we need to know about economics as well. When we say information, we find that it is fundamentally different from steel, rod, or other goods on which ordinary economics focuses. So it is something of a different stature, we can say. It is a public good, and markets on their own are not efficient in the provision of such goods. So, information has some characteristics which differs from other marketable goods. And so we have to be conscious about information economics when we study it. It is a public good with no marginal cost associated with the use of an idea by someone else. So it is a public good, information is a public good, and it is exposed in the public domain. And if someone uses the idea, there is no harm if because it is a public good. Information, once created, implies that any barrier to its free dissemination introduces a distortion in the economy. So, a free dissemination of information is the need of the hour, and any barrier to this flow of information will cause a problem in the economic situation of a country or of an organization. Information resource assumes an important position in the production, growth, and development of a society. And this is the part information economics plays in promoting the information as a resource. If we see the characteristics of information, we find that information is shareable. It is not exchangeable, it is expandable. It increases with use. It is compressible, can be summarized, integrated. It can vary in value over time, and it is a source of economic and political power. Now, if we go to these points one by one, we find that information can be shared by all persons, and it is not exchangeable. That is, there is no barter system available for the exchange of information. Information is expandable, it increases with use. That is, the more you give information to someone, the more you get information from someone, information increases. It is like an elastic rubber band. That is, the amount of information which you give will obviously be of added value to that person to whom you are giving it. Information can be compressed, it can be summarized, it can be integrated. That is, information can be consolidated, it can be repackaged, and it can be disseminated to the persons. So, information comes in various forms and formats. Compressed information is also a type of information. The value of information varies over time. In the case of library and information science, the value of information varies. That is, a piece of information, a piece of book, a piece of document can be valuable at this moment, or it can be reduced in its value in the days to come. And obviously, the last part is the source of economic and political power. Nowadays, the countries which have more information than others are thought of being economically and politically stronger than the other countries. Economics concerns four aspects: consumption, production, exchange, and distribution of wealth. This wealth may be any type of tangible wealth like gold, silver, money, furniture, etc., or an intangible one like information. When we study economics, we come across some important terms. Number one, goods. Anything that satisfies human wants is called goods. So, goods can be anything which will obviously satisfy the human need or human wants. If we classify goods, we can find that goods can be of the following types. One is free goods and economic goods. Free goods are supplied by nature, and these are, in the true sense, free. That is, one does not pay anything to secure it. Economic goods are scarce compared to human needs, and these are obtained only through payment often. These goods are obtained only when one pays a price for them, which we are accustomed with seeing the other commodities in the market. The second variety is the consumer goods and the producer goods. Consumer goods are used by the people to satisfy their wants in a direct manner. That is, books, pen, food, etc. That is, which they are consumed. These goods are consumed. Producer goods are those which are used to produce other goods like machines, tools, etc. These are also called capital goods. Third category comes the material goods and the non material goods. The tangible things fall under the category of material goods, that is, books, ornaments, chairs, tables, etc., which you can feel, which you can hold, which you can count. These are all material goods. But non material goods include all intangible goods, that is, which is a type of abstract things. And information is considered as a non material good. Then we come to the fourth variety: transferable goods and non transferable goods. Transferable goods are those goods which are changing their ownership. Books, clothes, stationaries are all transferable goods. But non transferable goods are the personal qualities which cannot be transferred from one person to another, like the skill of a doctor, intelligence of a scientist, etc. So, transferable goods are those which we can count, which we can hold, etc., and which we can easily transfer from one person to another. And non transferable goods are special goods of persons. Then the another type of goods are perishable goods and durable goods. Perishable goods are those goods which can satisfy the human wants for a short period only. Soap, cold drinks, perfume are all the perishable goods which perishes. Durable goods are those goods which can satisfy human wants regularly and repeatedly. That is, these are somewhat permanent goods. Another type of goods are private goods and public goods. Private goods are the personal goods and which are not shared by others. For example, land, building, furniture, all these are private goods. Public goods are those which can be used by all the members of the society collectively. That is a college, a public library, a hospital, these are all public goods. Now, if we consider information in the above aspects, we find that information is an economic good, consumer and producer good, non material good, transferable good, sometimes perishable but mostly durable good, and both public and private good. Considering these characteristics of information, we must study information economics. Another part of economics is the utility. That means the power to satisfy the wants. How much utilization these goods are to the human beings? That is the question. Anything that satisfies human wants directly or indirectly is said to possess utility. It is the power of satisfaction and is measured by the extent to which it satisfies the wants. Total utility is the total satisfaction acquired after consuming a product, and marginal utility means the satisfaction acquired by consuming one additional unit of commodity. Marginal utility declines with every increase in the stock or consumption of a commodity. In case of information, utility plays a very important role. How important is that information? What is the value of the information is very important. And this varies from consumer to consumer. Considering the value, which is another factor in economics, it is the power of commodity to command other commodities in its exchange. The exchange value of one thing in terms of another at any given time and place is the amount of the second thing which can be had in exchange of the first. So, the value of information is depicted in this statements also. And the fourth is the price. The value of a commodity, when expressed in terms of money, is known as its price. So, value comes in two ways. One is without price, and another is with price. The price of a good is the amount of money for which the thing is exchanged. And in a broader circumstance, in a broader umbrella term, another term comes into the forefront, and that is called wealth. Wealth is anything which is useful directly or indirectly for satisfying the human wants. For a thing to be treated as wealth, it has to satisfy the following characteristics: utility, scarcity, and transferability. Next part is the market. All of these items will be in vain if the market is not sufficient. So everything has to be analyzed according to the market. Market in the modern sense refers to the concept of buying and selling activities. The three essential features of a market are that there should be the existence of the commodity, there should be a contact between buyers and sellers, and there should be a competitive environment. Information, though it is an intangible product, always has a market, and this is important in case of information economics. So, considering the above points, we find the importance of information economics. The importance of information economics lies in the fact that recognition of information as a key factor for material growth and prosperity of a country. Number two, the expansion of job opportunities in other fields for information professionals. Number three, it helps in the efficient allocation of resources in a viable and meaningful way. Higher profit margins can be made thus in distributing information in a rational way. Porat, obviously, he is a very important person in this field. He popularized the term information economy. Information economy takes into account, as discussed above, that information is a commodity. So, this is a big idea in economics. Previously, in the earlier years, information was not thought of as a commodity. But in the present day, information is obviously considered as a commodity. In Aris 1973, Cooper discussed the commodity aspect of information in the context of the market mechanism. According to him, there are a number of problems in applying the market mechanism in allocating information. First, if it is assumed that equal access to information is a right, just as is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and privacy, then a decision must be made whether the market mechanism is adequate for allocating information to the individuals. Alternative institutional arrangements other than the price system may have to be made, ensuring the equality of distribution. So, in information economics, a major point which comes up is the equal distribution of information to everyone. He also says that if the market mechanism is used to aid the allocation of information, then there is the implication that a certain quantity of information is available at a stated price. A third problem with the use of market mechanism to allocate information has to do with the characteristics of information. A decision cannot be made as to the price to pay for the information until the information has been examined and evaluated. So, information, since it is a different type of commodity, therefore it has to be examined and evaluated, and then we can fix the market price. Thus, information about the information is required before a value can be assigned. Still, another problem relates to the fact that in the process of transferring information from one individual to another, resource is not depleted. When information disseminated, both parties have the information. Thus, there may be no economic incentive to engage in the transfer process. Information economics, therefore, is the study of how information, knowledge, and power influence the decisions and behavior and emphasize the value and role of information in shaping economic outcomes. So you can see that information economy has a greater value in knowledge and services than in manufacturing. Information economy, therefore, is the intangible product, that is the knowledge and intellectual property that helps to generate revenue. Now, when we say of information economics at the micro level, we find there are some problems. One problem of information is the uncertainty. It is a big problem of information. And another problem of information is the asymmetry of information between buyers and sellers in different types of markets. So, equal amount of information should be there between the buyers and sellers, but often we find that this is not so. There is asymmetrical information and there is no balance of information between buyers and sellers. And studying this, we come to two terms. One is perfect information, another is imperfect information. In the perfect information, each player has the same information that would be available at the end of the game, equal information. But in imperfect information, when decisions have to be made simultaneously and players to need to balance all possible outcomes when making a decision. In economics, when choices have to be made in the allocation of funds to competing projects, different tools such as welfare economics, cost benefit analysis, demand analysis, cost effective analysis, and operations research techniques are used. These tools can be employed also to information services institutions such as libraries, information retrieval systems, and even to the entire spectrum of the information industry. Now, if we see all these, that is what is an welfare economics, we can say that welfare economics applies microeconomic techniques to evaluate the overall welfare of the society. What is cost benefit analysis? It is the process used to measure the benefits of a decision or action and determine whether it is worthy. Then comes demand analysis. Demand analysis is the process of researching and analyzing customer demand for a particular product or service in order to determine the most effective pricing strategies and sales tactics. And the operation research techniques. The main methods here use linear programming, simulation, queuing theory, etc. According to Cooper, again, we refer resource allocation tools have two major functions. They serve as external allocation aids and as internal allocation devices. External allocation refers to the decisions made with respect to allocation of resources among competing institutions. And internal allocation tools aid in allocation within an industry or an organization. Now, as we discussed earlier, information economy, the elements considered here are information asymmetry, uncertainty, and signaling. Now, we have already discussed information asymmetry and we know about uncertainty. Now, signaling, we will just say something. Signaling theory is useful for describing behavior when two parties, that is, individuals or organizations, have access to different information. Typically, one party, the sender, must choose whether and how to communicate for signal that information, and the other party, the receiver, must choose how to interpret that signal. So, information asymmetry means one participant has more information than the other. So, considering all this, we again come in a nutshell about information economy. That is, it is an economic system where information goods and services are produced and distributed. It also refers to an economic system where the production, distribution, and use of information and knowledge play a central role in shaping economic activities and driving growth. When we come to information economy, we cannot leave behind this important parameter, that is information industry studies. And we find there are four types of information industries. studies information producers, information processors, information distributors, and information infrastructure occupations. In case of information producers, in this category falls scientific and technical suppliers, market research and coordination specialists, information gatherers, cumulative services, consultative services, etc. In information processes, we find administrative and managerial process control and supervisory, clerical, and related components. In case of information distributors, we find educators and communication workers, and in information infrastructure occupations, we find information machine workers and postal and telecommunications workers. Now, we must relate information economy with knowledge because now we are in the knowledge society. Knowledge is different from other commodities. Knowledge is a quasi public good with no marginal cost associated with the use of an idea by someone else. And therefore, economics of knowledge means that knowledge can be thought of as a particular form of information. Knowledge is at the center of the theory of innovation. So we end it with this way that knowledge is the basic form of a capital. Economic growth is driven by the accumulation of knowledge. Knowledge is the focal point of the modern economic market. Knowledge sensitive organizations are blooming in the forefront. Knowledge economy has given rise to the upsurge of intangible capital, and the class of knowledge workers are increasing. Thank you.